Yes, guys. So today I am 1,116 days sober. Today I've got a very special guest for episode 5. I've got Sam Bell from Hampshire. So I'm going to do the gag that everyone's probably he's heard loads. So Sam is a firefighter. So I've got Fireman Sam on today. Yes, I have. He's an electrician, aspiring mindset coach. He's fucking inspirational. Listen to him on his Instagram. He's created an amazing community. How are you, legend?
I'm very good, mate, and I'm very, very happy to be here.
Good, man. So diving in for our listeners straight away, in your words, who is Sam Bell?
Like you said, I'm a firefighter, electrician, and if you look at my Instagram bio, former insecure all-round idiot, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I was going to pick up that later, but yeah, that's. So let's dive straight into that straight away then. So I have got on here former all-round insecure idiot. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Yes, mate, I think when I decided to change my lifestyle, you start to reflect back on what you used to be like, and you get a sense of clarity to what you were like before. And like on my Instagram, I've mentioned that I do a lot of therapy, and you realise just how fucking insecure I was. Like I might people that knew me before would probably say, "Yeah, Sam's confident. Sam's like a bit of a jack the lad. You know, I used to play football, lads, go out all the time."
Yeah.
But it's all fucking surface bullshit, mate. Do you know what I mean? And alcohol was a huge part of that insecurity, bringing up. Like we can talk about it later, but I could genuinely feel the insecurities rise up from me the minute I had a drink. Do you know what I mean? And then it would be project. So yeah, like the former insecurities, they're still there. I'm still working on them, but I don't self-soothe no more. Do you know what I mean?
So where did that come from then? The insecurities, because again, from obviously we spoke quite a bit off air, and I I'll be honest, I don't see that either. I see, you know, and I'm a heterosexual man, but I see a very good looking, confident man there. Um, is that, again, this is not a therapy session, but is that from a young perspective, or has that been Sam growing up? Or like, where's that insecurity come from?
I think, yeah, without going into too much about like the therapy side of things, I think I've always had like external validation from everybody. You know, like I talk about being part of the football team. Like I was half decent at football. Not never played a decent standard, but it was like, you know, pat on the back. Yeah, Sam, you've been made captain of the football team. So it was always it was always ingrained in me in school to do things, and so people would give you like that attaboy. Do you know what I mean? Oh, well done, mate. Like you're really good at
Yeah,
this. You're really good at that. And then when like you start going out and stuff like that, your mindset changes to like going out looking for women. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh, I want to
yeah,
be the best looking geezer in the room. But it got to a point, mate, where I was getting so pissed that I wanted to be the funniest guy in the room. I wanted to be the best looking guy in the room. I wanted to be the nicest guy in the room, mate. Like I'm straight, yeah. I would get irritated if the guys didn't fancy me. Like,
yeah.
what the fuck? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I get that, and that's, I suppose, that people pleasing aspect now. I think the further down the journey you go, the further the only person you should be better than is you yesterday. And for
1000%.
me,
Yeah.
yeah, for me, that resonates so much. So but I wasn't that. I've always loved football, and I've always loved like being the Joker. But I suppose for me, it was like I wasn't really picked all of the time. I was like use sub every now and then. So my validation with the booze was like being that center of attention, probably like you were. But I can resonate with that so much, and that is probably something that I lacked within myself
Mhm.
that I wanted from others. Do you know what I mean? Like that confidence, that people pleasing aspect was what I lacked in myself. But now, further along the journey, you only want the best for Sam, as opposed to probably. Well, I'm gathering that that's the reason you only want the best from Sam, as opposed to other people, you're not as fussed about it now. That's how I felt going through my journey. Is that how you feel now?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I've spoken on my Instagram about it before, and it's finding that fine line between the right validation from the right people, but then going to look for it. Do you know what I mean? And it's only since I've been able to switch my mindset up to kind of differentiate between the two. You know, I don't need it from everybody, but you know, like the families and the people that are going to be there for you through thick and thin, when they're telling you, like, mate, well done, I'm so proud of you, fucking right. Like, yeah, that's a nice feeling. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, like one of the validations I got was I don't know if you've seen the video of me in drunk in a kebab shop, falling asleep, standing up, just whirring round, and someone then called me a hero. Now, to me, like at the time, maybe I felt like I was a hero, but A, I didn't remember the night. B, I had to be walked home to my mum's, and C, like that's not what I aspire to be. Is some pissed up idiot in a kebab shop, like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's you're 100% right on that validation. You know, to hear my mum and dad now, like they probably always said they're proud, and they always have been proud. But to hear like the things that I'm doing now, and they're always saying they're proud, how amazing I've done this, that, and the other. And even like you've messaged me. There's other people in my network have been like, "Oh, I appreciate you," or "I do this," and I'm like, that shit builds you up, and yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? So, what does booze to better mean to Sam?
Um, so like when I found out what you were calling your podcast, like the very first thing, it was just like, yes, mate. Because it like you literally couldn't say it any better. Do you know what I mean? I I genuinely don't think I could have ever thought that removing something that was meant to be like a positive thing in our lives, like growing up generationally, like yeah, get steaming, like have a good time. Removing that one thing, I never thought it'd have such a positive like impact on every aspect of my life. Like if you were to, I think if you were to ask me, oh, you know, why aren't you drinking tonight, or what's the positive of not drinking tonight? But it would be a simple answer: no hangover. Simple as that, right? If you got football in the morning, if you got work in the morning, I'm not drinking because I don't want to be hungover. There would never be a forward thought after that. And I think it's only when you start to remove it consistently, you start to see how much of a positive impact it can have on
Yeah,
everything. Like everyone knows about, I'm not drinking tonight because I want to save money or I want to be on a fucking health kick. Like, so I'm going to not drink for 3 weeks. Like, come on, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, but like when I started going sober, obviously I don't know about you, but like you get interested, so you read every fucking book, you read every article, you listen to every podcast, right? And one of them was about like the clarity that you get, not so much in sense of like what you've done in the past, but colours seem clearer, and it sounds so airy fairy. Do you know what I mean? But like you can appreciate so much more getting up in the crack of dawn and on a summer's morning and going for a 6 a.m. walk, like.
yeah,
Mate, I was getting through the door at 6 a.m. listening to birds tweeting, thinking I'm going to be anxious for the next 2 days.
yeah, yeah.
And I
How
just,
crazy? Yeah, how
I,
crazy is that feeling, right?
it's mad. And I just think like the, I'm probably going to go off on tangents like we've spoken about, but booze to better means not having to say sorry anymore. And for me, like that is liberating when you ain't got to wake up and look at your phone, or you don't look at your phone for 3 hours because you're like, what have I said? Like, who have I bumped into? Can I look that person in the eye? Like, I might say sorry now for being a bit too honest with people, but I haven't got to
Yeah,
apologise for my behaviours, my actions, what I've messaged people. Like, so yeah, booster better. No more stupid fucking sorries,
yeah, and I mean, it's hilarious what you said about the colours, the taste for me, like my
mate. 100%.
taste buds. Yeah, like I don't even. The choice is like not having a kebab anymore. I mean, I've had a kebab since, but like that choice of like greasy food and wanky as it does sound, and people do like these bright colors, these walks. You know, I did an email the other day about being a morning person. Like there's you know, like, as you quite rightly said, the morning person of me was I'd still be up from the night before morning person. But now, like, it, it is about embracing life and for what it is, whether the good, the bad, the indifferent. Because now we have to deal with the emotions other ways, right? Instead of masking them, being that clown, being that people pleaser. It's interesting that you're the first person said about the colors, and I really like that, and the thought of not having to say sorry is, yeah, it's incredible. Like, like, so many times, not I'd turn my phone off the next day because that's how many times I pissed people off. Or it's not even that you probably did piss people off; it's your thoughts around. You thought you pissed people off, right?
Yeah.
How long have you been? How long have you been sober now?
So I'm 4 months tomorrow, so I'm 120 days today since I last had a drink. But
Amazing.
I went, I decided to knock alcohol in the head back in February last year. But then I did like 6 months and went away with my partner at the time. So had a few drinks on holiday, not till it didn't get excessively drunk, but enough that there was still a bit of a hangover the day after. And then had a couple of events that I drank at as well, where probably drank a little bit too much. And then, yeah, in the September following a bit of a turning point, should we say, I was just like, nah, fuck this, because it's like there was no value, like literally none. So yeah, for now, I'm I think you're probably on the same page, and a lot of people that I spoke to about going sober is like, I'm never going to say never, because you just set yourself up to fail if you ever do
Yeah,
have that drink. Do you know what I mean? But for now, like, it's just not going to happen.
what what I'll touch on. Not I don't. I'm not, again. It doesn't have to be a rock bottom, but we'll go on to let's go on to move different with Sam. So,
Hmm.
fueling resilience for life changing actions, ready
Yeah.
to ignite change. Explain to me what this is and who you help.
So, background story to the move different thing. Obviously, you and I both met through the legend that is Paul Mort,
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be in this position if I hadn't have joined his programs. You know, I started with Unstoppable 28 and then Unstoppable 90, and now I'm part of the Alliance crew with you lot. I didn't think it was possible for me to change. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
I knew that there was a person inside of me, but I thought, oh, do you know what? The life I had was the life I had. I was surrounded by the same people, which I don't judge them for what they do, but it was my life was always going to be the same. I never felt like I was ever going to get off that carousel. And then when I did it, I was like, fucking hell, if I can do this, anybody can. And I lost a lot through my shit actions in terms of people in my life, that I just made a decision. I was like, if I can stop one person making the same mistakes that I did, then why the fuck would I not even try?
yeah. Amazing. So, so who is it? Like, you help men, women, or anyone that's willing to make that change?
So, like, when I first started, thought about it, it was similar to Paul. Like, obviously, he started his programs kind of based at men, because there was no one really doing it for men back then at all. And when I first started the Instagram, I thought, do you know what, this is going to be. I was naive. I thought this is going to be easy. There's loads of idiots like me out there. Like, I fucking could name 10 straight away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But what you got to remember is that those idiots don't see it as a problem. Like, they
yeah,
still haven't hit that point where they think it's an issue. So, being straight up, like, the clients that I'm speaking to at the moment, they're a mixture. Um, and like, a lot of my initial interaction was from women that had me as a boyfriend, as a husband. You know, the people that take them for granted, that value the sesh more than spending the day after with their kids in the park. And it was like, this is great, but send my profile to them, because
yeah.
it's like, do you know what I mean? Like, thanks for the recognition. Like, oh, you're doing great. Like, I wish my husband could, like, speak to you. Well, put him in front of me then. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, and it's 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 that niche that is probably the hardest to get into, because as men we don't want our pride to be questioned. You know, no one wants that mirror holding up to them. So yeah, like, to answer the question about who I help, like, anyone that wants it. Like, I genuinely believe that I've got enough experience and that in I can help anybody. Do you know what I mean? And if I can't, I'll be straight up. I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, like, just try this. Do you know what I mean? Like, honesty is the best policy. Yeah. If I haven't got an opinion on something or I don't know enough about it, I'm not going to give you some bullshit thing that I might have Googled 10 minutes before, because that's just not the way I work.
that's interesting. Someone asked me exactly the same question. Well, someone asked me about the Sinclair method the other day, and which is a pill that people use to, I think it's like nandroxylone or whatever it is. But again, my answer was exactly the same as yours. I don't know enough about it to comment, and I don't study it enough to comment. That's interesting you say about um, yeah, I I'm at the moment tending to a lot of people coming my way come towards energy in terms of like a rock bottom. Now
Hmm.
I want to I per se would rather have people, probably the people you're on about, before they get to rock bottom, because when you're at that rock bottom, I mean, luckily I was coached out of it, like you said, via Paul, via my therapist at the time, via different people, and via looking in the mirror. To be honest,
Yeah.
like looking in the mirror and you're thinking, not only, and it does seem our stories quite similar. Not only did it affect me, but it affected everyone around me. And I think you spoke about networks and the people around you, obviously without naming names and putting people in shit. Were you at the time hanging around with different networks, and what was your relationship like with booze and drugs?
So, like, let's take it like way back. Do you know what I mean? Like, so as a family, like, my parents never really drunk,
Yeah,
and
same.
when I look back, it was like I felt like I always missed out, because my parents didn't drink. They didn't really get invited round the mate's house. You know, like when your parents used to go in a mate's house and they bring the kids, so you'd play with them and they'd be up
Yeah,
till
yeah,
God knows what time and all that sort of stuff. So when I stayed around friends' houses, I saw how other parents interacted, and I was like, why aren't my parents fun? Do you know what I mean? And I felt like I missed out on shit like that. So I was like, I can't wait to get drinking. So then it was the case of, fast forward to senior school, and I sent you a message about splitting a crate of, do you remember Stella Stubbies and a pack of Mayfair
yeah,
10 at 14 years old, going down the field. I think my very first experience was a bottle of fucking Lambrini. Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah, yeah. Those were the
um,
days.
yeah, exactly. And then growing up, you just like I say, I played football with probably the same lads from 12, 13 to 30.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? How
Like,
you all
you just
go
keep
against
going,
each other.
and it's like, we play Saturday afternoon, so you can get pissed on a Friday, still be hungover enough in the morning, but then you're stunned by Saturday, and then you're straight in the bar. And like, when I stopped drinking, I could I never blamed anybody else. I never blamed anybody else for my actions once I'd stopped. But when I was in it, I was like, well, everyone's doing it. It's normal. Like, everyone's getting on the sesh. Everyone's staying up till fucking 7 in the morning. And I don't judge them now that I've stopped, because anyone that wants to do that it's on them. Do you know what I mean? And if it's not wrecking your life like it was mine, then who am I to tell anybody to stop?
Yeah, 100%.
But I think what the biggest thing that I realised was I was the initiator. Like, I was that instigator. I would be the one. Like, my friend Rachel, like, sorry to name drop when she listens to this, but
Yeah,
I used to live with her, right? And it was like when we both first moved out of our parents' house, and she recently come across my Instagram, and she was like, "That's the person I wanted to move in with, not the person that was inviting people over every single Saturday night." Because it was me, because I was like, right, I don't know what to do. I've got nothing to do. Fuck it, come over to Sam's house and get smashed. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
in terms of like networks and stuff like that, like I removed myself from situations because I knew that I couldn't be around that for a point, and I've probably not seen certain people in like over a year now. That's not because I think they're bad people, but as far as a network goes, like from that point of view, those people that are still doing that, cool, but it was never on them. It was always on me. It was like my decision. Like half the time, I remember being the one saying, "Come on, mate, let's fucking go get steaming."
Yeah, yeah. So being like the instigator, was that again probably from the lack of, so when you say about the parents not really boozing, and my dad used to drink every Friday, but that would be it. Like he'd have as a down the social club with the parents of the football team, etc. But but do you reckon it was your lack of not having it in your mind was like, I was missing out when I was young to make up for when I was an adult per se?
Yeah, I think that's probably like subconsciously probably got something to do with it because, like I say, like I felt like I was missing out because I had like uh, quite like a small circle of friends when I was younger, but all the mums and that were all friends and all the dads, but they always used to do the same things together. Like, and we were never invited because my parents never went to things like that. I always felt like I was left out. Do you know what I mean? So like, I think that probably had something to do with it. Yeah, like I think the main thing was that once I did start drinking, it was like I felt like a different person. Like that confidence,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
well, that false fucking confidence just came up. So like, I never really thought about the past having an impact on why I drunk until you stop. Do you know what I mean? Until you stop, until you reflect, and you go, actually, it had a huge fucking reason as to why I did drink.
yeah, yeah. I saw a post, actually, one of your posts. I think it's the first one on your move different page, and it was like 9 months previously, 9 months on, kind of thing. So I think the 9 months bit was when, did you fall out of a bar, or did you fracture? Is it fracture your hand, or what was the story there? I did, yeah. I glimpsed it. I was doing a bit of research as a geek. I was doing a bit of research, and I was like, oh well, I've seen that post. Explain to me about the post, if you can.
Yeah. So the 9 months was when I decided to stop in the February,
Yeah,
but I went away to a wedding in the October beforehand, right? And I was best man at my mate's wedding, and I flew out the day before my birthday, which was towards the end of October. And obviously, it wasn't about the wedding; it was all about me for that day. Do you know what I mean? So went out there, typical like Brit, got absolutely steaming, and ended up breaking my wrist that night on one of the punch bag machines. Didn't
yeah,
even
yeah.
realise, like had no clue. Like woke up in the morning and I had a bracelet on, mate, and it was cutting off the circulation to my hand.
Ooh.
And the bride's cousin she's a doctor. She went down, she pushed this bone in my wrist. She was like, "Oh, you've broken your scaphoid," and I was like, "Nah, it'll be all right." Went down A&E, gave them a tenner. They X-rayed me and said, "You're fine, mate. Don't worry." Come back and I was like, "Yeah." And then I was out of work for 6 months from the fire brigade. And
Jesus.
that one moment of getting so steaming had such a negative impact on my life because I had so much time at home. The structure was gone, the routine was gone. And what do people do when they haven't got to get up for work in the morning? You know,
Yeah,
like, and it got to the point where I was doing 2 bottles of red a night, mate. Like on a Thursday, not throughout the week consistently,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it was like Thursday night. Oh, I'll pick up a bottle. Like my missus would come home from work and I'd say, "Oh, I've got a couple of bottles." She'd have one glass and I'd do 2 bottles, and just be like, "What the fuck?" Do you know what I mean? She'd go
Yeah,
up to
yeah.
bed and I'd stay downstairs. Right.
And then your base level gets higher and higher, and then you can, having two bottles probably don't even affect you anyway. In the end, after that's why lockdown. I mean, for me, it was great because, but I did start lockdown like that because there was not much to do. We'd have quizzes or whatever, but I did stop lockdown doing like fucking read or whatever I consumed. But it was because the thought process and didn't have anything to do. Then yeah, so you've also like obviously I follow your stories and they're inspiring as fuck. You've created this amazing community, um, and you're always giving out incredible value to your audience. What's the greatest bit of value you've given to has been given to you on your journey, and who was this by?
Sorry, mate. The screen glitched. Can you just repeat it?
Okay, so yeah, sorry. So your community, obviously, you're inspiring as fuck to watch and listen to, and you always
Stop
give
it.
incredible advice. You always give incredible value to your to your audience and your community. What's the greatest bit of value you've been given on your journey, and who was this by?
So I touched on it. Like, I wouldn't be where I was without Paul. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Joining his program was the single best thing I ever did.
yeah,
I'll happily say that. It's not without its challenges in terms of, you know, he loves to call you out, him and Kath. Do you know what? They're fucking brutal. But it
so
wouldn't work any other
yeah.
way.
But what's the best thing that I agree. I used. I mean, sorry to interrupt, but I think
Yeah, cool.
the single best thing about that was I have always liked the motherly arm over the shoulder, but
Right.
I've not flown, but I've had so much. Paul's had so much impact on me as well by calling me out has made me improve myself. Like I wouldn't be able to fucking talk on his calls, let alone on fucking podcasts. So
Yeah.
what part of that calling you out and what part of that, one of his amazing quotes has really resonated with you?
It's it's probably the most heard one. Do what you said you would.
Yeah,
And holding myself accountable. So that like unstoppable 28 thing, like the accountability that you have to put in 4 short weeks, it
yeah,
fucking switched, mate. It's done something in my head that I was like, wow.
same.
And from someone who used to think, like if I said to you, right, 2 years ago, what would your friends say about Sam? I'll be like, yeah, he does what he says he was. He's trustworthy. He can organise. He does this, does this. Bollocks. He didn't. He talked a good game, and he might come
Yeah,
through with some things. 100%. He might say, "Oh yeah, I'll do that, and I'll get round to that or whatever." But that's not accountability. Like now, it's like I was a fucking idiot. I never did that sort of shit. I used to say it. I used to talk a good game, but I never used to walk the walk. So holding myself accountable and do what you said you would, like something so simple, has had such a huge impact on me.
it's so simple, but why it is so simple, and like my missus really fucking raves at me for doing exactly that, because if people but others don't do it, so why don't other people do it? Because there's a lot of people who say one thing and do something completely fucking different. Why don't your community do that as well?
I think it's that value. It's people don't understand the value of doing what you said you would. So if you say you're going to do something, what value is that going to add to your life? What value is that going to add to somebody else's life? What impact? Like Paul talks about leverage a lot, right? And that's like, a lot of the stuff that I say to my community, if you like, I've learned from the best as far as I'm concerned, and I'll credit him every step of the way. And it's a regurgitation of information. Like when I first started it, I kind of, funny story, I anonymously questioned on his page and was like, "Oh, I want to start coaching, but I'm fearful that I'll be ripping someone off." And he was like, his words were, "No coach invented the wheel. Do you know what I mean? Just
No.
credit them where they are." And I think that that kickstarted me into going, "Do you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do this coaching thing." But people don't do what they said they would because they don't understand the value that comes after it. They just think there's not enough. There's not enough, like, I don't know, I can't think of the word, but if you don't do something, that's all right. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
accountability, I guess. Like, people don't
yeah,
care about disappointing other people because, like me, I'll use me as an example. I knew I could get away with not doing certain things because people would just be like, "Oh, Sam's hungover again." Do you know what I mean? Oh, don't worry. Like, and
yeah,
do you really want to be known as the person that like says they're going to do something and people go, "Well, it probably won't happen." And then when you start doing it, they're like, "Oh, fucking hell! Like, you actually turned up today, or I didn't expect you here. Like, I thought you'd be still on the sofa at 5 o'clock in the evening."
yeah. And I think the more the more you don't follow through, not just for others, the more you don't follow through for yourself, the more self worth you start losing that self belief, self worth about yourself. And then others are like, well, you said you were gonna do this, this, and this. You haven't done that. You haven't followed through. You haven't followed up on what you said you would. Why should I start believing you now? And it's such a knock on effect because the more I do these things, the more I build belief, the more I build momentum, and the more then people start putting their trust back on me. So the more like, that's why you get so many people asking you questions because you're doing the hard yard, so to speak,
Yeah,
and you're living proof that it fucking works. Same as me. Like, people are starting to be like, oh, this dude's been sober for 3 years. This dude's done this. Now I become the trusted guide. I've got my own podcast, whatever. But yeah, it's interesting. So talking about that journey, so your journey's very well documented via your socials. What do you think was the hardest part about your decision to not booze on the head?
that fear of losing like your social circle. Do you know what I mean? Like, you hear a lot of people talk about when they do go sober that they realise that some of the people they used to hang around with, that's kind of the only thing they had in common. So people used to refer to me as Sammy B, and Sammy B was always the life and soul of the party. Do you know what I mean? The instigator. And I thought, if I'm not booze on the head, who the fuck am I?
Where's your identity?
Where's my identity? And like, my partner at the time used to turn around to me so many times. She was like, "Sam, you are this extrovert person. You don't need to get on the sesh to be that person." But it was like, yeah, okay, thank you. See you later, down the hatch. And then,
Yeah,
mate, I remember, right, I, at one point, I moved out of my house and we moved in together, me and my ex-partner, and I was sliding down my staircase on a big frying pan. Who does that? Who the fuck does that? And I brought that frying pan with me to move in with her, and it was like so out of shape. I was like, and I was like, genuinely, like, when we pulled it out of the box, I was like, what happened? She was like, oh yeah, you were there's a video of you sliding down your staircase on a frying pan. I was like, fucking what? So yeah, it was that fear of not being that person, not being that class clown, like going back to my school days where I needed to make everyone laugh. Like, I was
yeah,
just worried that I was going to lose who I was. And the ironic thing is, I found who I was.
yes. Wow, wow. That's clip that, Jamie. Hey,
Bosh,
what's
have
the?
that.
Love that. That was fucking brilliant. So I know this might be a touchy subject, but was there a specific moment or realization that was the turning point? So not a rock bottom as such, because it doesn't have to be a rock bottom. But what was the biggest turning point and the realization that fuck, something has to change, otherwise this is it.
So there was two, right? So there was the initial one in February, 2023. And I'm not going to go into too many details because it's as much somebody else's story as it is mine, right?
Yeah,
But
100%.
bottom line, went out, got flat out, made some really, really poor decisions, and basically lost a friend that I'd had in my life since day dot because of something fucking stupid that I'd done, not thought through it. And I was like, right, something's got to change. And that was like a catalyst to then me thinking, okay, right, that decision is, you've already lost one best mate, right? What does it have? What impacts that had on your partner? Like, she had she's got a little girl, you know, what impact. And you start for that 24 hours, I just thought about all the negative shit that I'd done since forever, and how many people I'd negatively impacted. And I was like, right, no, something's got to change. Went round to my parents' house, basically told them that I had an issue, I had a problem, and I needed fucking help. And then the second time, so I spent, like I say, I spent the 6 months working with Paul and really getting to a point of starting the journey and all that sort of stuff, and really started to switch my life up. And then in the September, after the summer of introducing a couple of drinks here and there, I basically had a couple of glasses of wine one night in September. My missus at the time was out, and come back, and like I said before, like I was literally, I felt the insecurities rise from my stomach up after I'd had 2 glasses of wine and had a row with her, and that was it. I lost her.
Yeah.
Gone. Like, she was like, I've had enough. She was like, I was so lucky to have her on my journey, to the point of, because, you know, it was rough. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you start reflecting on what you've done, and she stuck by me through thick and thin, and I'll always thank her for that. But yeah, in that September, just one more argument, like that final nail in the coffin, done. She was like, I can't do it anymore. And I never went back to the house in terms of living back there. I had to go back to my mum and dad's. And mate, when you're 33 years old and you're back in your childhood bedroom, and that's when I decided to start the Instagram. That's when I decided that I was going to help somebody, because it held me accountable as well. I was like, do you know what? There's more. I'm destined for more. Like, and I'm going to help people. I'm not going to let people get to the same position as I did. So it's, in a nutshell, losing some incredible people that I had
Yeah.
was the reason why. But then obviously, as you know, when you knock boots on the head, there's so many more reasons as to why you continue to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and from the back of that, and I know it's losing the two important people. And obviously, I'm pretty much in the same as well. But losing, there will be a gift in there as well somewhere that has brought you to this place where you're at now. And again, we can dive deep. We can, you know, we can go round and round in circles, and because there's in everything there's a gift. What was your parents' reaction? What were their reactions when you went back?
Um, I think they just felt. I've never actually asked them, and I should fucking do that. Do you know what? Like, that's a good question to ask them. But I think do you know what? Right, I genuinely believe they probably thought, like, finally, like, I think everyone around you knows you've got an issue, right? You know, they know you're doing shit that's wrong, but I was the kind of person that people were probably frightened to say something through
Yeah,
fear of getting told to fuck off. Like, because that's the
that's
kind
it.
of person I
Yeah,
was. I was like, I was toxic. I was like volatile. Like, when someone tells around you, oh mate, you know, you got to stop doing this because you're gonna shut up, mate. I'm fine. Like, everyone's doing it. I think there was probably a sense of relief from my parents that it's like, oh, this might be the, like, you know, the pennies dropped sort of thing. But at the same time, there's obviously a sadness there, because, you know, they probably felt like a bit like they'd failed. Do you know what I mean? Like, what did we do? Like, everyone makes everything about them. Do you know what I mean? We've obviously learned that everyone's doing their best, and, you know, people's reactions are based on them, not us.
yeah,
But
100%.
from a parent's point of view, like, I'm not a parent, but I can imagine that there was probably a sense of like failure in there. Like, fuck, like, my
Yeah,
son's done this. Like, he's turned into this person. Like, what have I done? And, you know, I'm not going to go into it too much, but like, my mum has said to me, like, oh, like, is it because of me and stuff like that? And I'm like, no, this is no reflection on you. Like, you've done the best you
no,
can.
yeah, that's interesting because obviously mine was because of the divorce that
Mm,
I went back home, but I'd have moments with moments on the bed with my mum, which still fucking haunts me now, like feeling like a burden, feeling like I can't fucking go on, and
yeah,
my mum crying, thinking it's, is there anything, like all them floods, and you're like, oh shit, like more that I'm doing this to my mum. I shouldn't, my mum always does best for me. Um, so being a fireman, what would you say is the booze culture like in the fire service? And has that
I got,
impacted you at
I
all?
got to correct it. It's firefighter. We're very
Fire,
inclusive.
sorry, man. Yeah.
Look, Fireman Sam. Yeah. Yeah. That's a great icebreaker.
Firefighter
Great
Sam.
icebreaker if
Sorry.
you're single.
Oh no, yeah, fucking hell, your Tinder must pop off.
Tinder. What's that? What's Tinder? I
Yeah,
don't know what
yeah,
you're talking
you
about.
completed that, didn't
It's all about
you?
Hinge now, mate. Tinder's gone.
Oh, mate, I'm still on plenty of fish, mate. That was my old school, mate. That was the last thing I knew, but yeah,
You'll be talking about Friends reunited soon.
that's
Jesus,
it,
taking
mate.
it back.
Yeah, still on my yeah.
What was the question?
So
The culture.
firefighter Sam, not fireman Sam. Yeah, what's
The
the culture
culture in
like?
the brigade. So I mean, it's a professional service, right? So nobody does anything that's like detrimental to them being a professional.
No,
Um,
no.
but at the same time, you're with those people for 48 hours at a time, right? Like 4 shifts over 8 days. You build a bond, and everybody in the UK knows that it's like, right, how do we bond? We'll go out for drinks. Do you know what I mean? I'm very, very fortunate that my watch is. Some of them don't drink at all. Some of them are like fitness freaks and stuff like that. But they're quite an active watch. So some of them do like rock climbing. Like I play five-a-side with a couple of them,
Amazing.
and we tend to do things like that. There's still there is a drinking culture. Of course, it is. Like it's like any like organisation. You know, oh, we're going to have
Yeah,
drinks Friday. Do you know what I mean? Like my fire station, there's literally a pub 5 meters from it. So it's like finish shift, pop in there for one. Do you know what I mean? But I'm fortunate, like I say, that not just my watch, the whole station. There's a few people on there that have they're on their own sober journey, and the the more it gets spoken about now, the more you realise how many people are involved in it, and that's no different in a fire brigade. There's a lot of people that value your decision to do that, and there's that's your family. Do you know what I mean? You trust them with
yeah,
your life, so
yeah,
they
of
trust your
course.
decision to do that. So there's no pressure or anything like that to do it.
So what's the mental health? Because I know a lot of companies have mental health people in there. Yeah, mental health professionals come in. Do you have people come in and give you talks on mental health or boozing or drugs or anything like that? Does anyone come in to do like talks to you?
So there's like presentations and stuff. Obviously, it's a huge organisation, like who I
Yeah,
work for. There's like 4,500 operational firefighters, and to get around every single station, every single watch, like they do it. But
yeah,
it's more about it's pointing you in the right direction if you need help. I'm happy to admit, like I've used the counselling service that the brigade offer, and they were brilliant. There's firefighters that volunteer to be mental health first aiders.
yeah, amazing.
I'm like a temporary junior officer. So when you start taking those sort of steps to promotion, you get put on courses. So I recently attended like a mental health awareness, like anxiety, depression course where like a licensed therapist comes in and shows you like signs, symptoms, what to spot, and like if you need help, there's an abundance of it there. They'll do anything for you.
Yeah, amazing.
But it's just having that courage to say you need help. Do you know what I mean? You're a firefighter, you've got that kind of hero complex. The pride is up here. Or you seem to be, oh, I'm fucking weak if I go and help. But mate, it's like anything. Like the more people talk about it, the more people that are like, oh shit, like okay, didn't realize that. Like one of my firefighters turned around to me 2 weeks ago and he was like, I love how open you are about attending therapy. So I don't do the therapy through the brigade anymore. I've got private, I go private now and I
Yeah,
pay for them directly. And he's like, I can't commend you enough for talking about it. I'm like, but if it means me talking about it, someone else on the watch might overhear and be like, oh, do you know what I mean? Oh, but if Sam's doing it, then why not? Like,
yeah. I can imagine. Is it quite high pressure as well? Obviously, essentially, you're saving people's lives. Is it high pressure and I suppose that stress can lead. one or two ways. From knowing what I know now, that can either lead to relieving that stress through booze or
Yeah.
whatever it may be, any instant gratification, or going the other way and challenging your mental health. And is it that high stress um, to that people do that?
Yeah, 100%. I think you know, we live in a society where I grew up, if you're stressed, have a drink, you'll be all right.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's a self-soothe thing. And, yeah, we are in a high pressure job. It's not, don't get me wrong, I'm not running to burning buildings every single shift. Like, it just doesn't work like that. Like, we're
no,
fortunate that we've got so many safety systems in buildings nowadays that it spoils the fun, to be quite honest. Like, you turn up and it's already out
yeah,
through a sprinkler system.
yeah,
But yeah, there's like, that high pressure situation. And like, so the reason I became a firefighter was because my dad was a firefighter, right? So I grew up listening to the stories of the brigade and the culture and like, that doing all like the fun stuff. But I can imagine it's like, your debrief after, like, say you went to a big fire or a car crash or something like that. That debrief wouldn't be at work. It wouldn't be round the table having dinner. It would be in the pub after, and it
yeah,
would be like, and then you talk about it, and you people still do that now. Like when I've been out, like it's standard in it. You go out for a work do. What does everybody talk about? Work. But obviously, my job's a little bit different in terms of you talk about incidents and that incident and that incident, and you almost reflect and you almost therapize. Don't even know if
yeah,
that's a fucking word. But you give each other therapy because you talk about it.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, like and some people only talk when they've had a drink because they only feel comfortable to do that.
yeah,
So yeah, there is definitely like an aspect of that self-soothing in terms of the pressure of the job, but I don't think it's any different to any other
any other.
organisation, any other industry. Like, yeah, we might save lives now and again, but that doesn't mean that my job's any more important than the next person's. Like, everyone deals with stress in their own way, and if it's through alcohol, it doesn't matter what job you do. Like, that's,
No, no.
in my opinion, that's not the best way to solve shit.
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because I hate to jump into like the mummy wine culture, but fucking if someone's if like little Freddie's been fucking about a nursery, they'll think, oh, it's okay to have a bottle of wine, not a bottle or a glass of wine tonight. You're right. It's any stresses, commiserations, celebrations. We'll do whatever. So, what alternative coping mechanisms have you turned to without resorting to booze?
So the gym, like, massively. Like, I've always been a gym goer, but it was, and this is going to sound really egotistical, but it was to look fucking good with a top off on a holiday. Do you know what I mean? You'd do a
Yeah,
6 week stint beforehand and go, yeah, I'm going to go mental. But you start to really appreciate your general well being, your general fitness. I think being sober gives you so much more clarity in terms of how much being physically fit helps your mental health as well. I have a newfound love for like hiking. We climbed Snowdon as a watch
amazing.
for cancer research, and we did a 24-hour climb. And it's the first time I'd ever done anything like that. So we climbed through the night. We had about 3-4 hours off because it literally got so misty that you couldn't see your fucking hand in front of you. So it's like genuinely dangerous. Do you know what I mean? At one point, me and my governor we were like at the front, and we kind of looked at each other and was like, do you know where you're going? I was like, no. And the governor goes, up. It's the only way. Just go up, right? So
Yeah,
we scaled it. And I don't know if you've ever done Snowdon, but
done it last year. Yeah,
I got a torch and I was like, that's the fucking top there. And he was like, no, it can't be.
yeah.
Anyway, the day after, you look at where you've climbed, and rather than go round here, we just went straight up this sheer face. Because I was climbing, I was like, I don't remember any moss. Do you? Like, do you know what I mean?
Mate, we did this. Oh my god,
Um,
how crazy is that? I kind of did the same. So we followed these people. We were like, we're going on the easier trail because they are my nephews.
Yeah.
And then these other lot come up this pig trail, which is like supposed to be the harder one. So I was climbing up this one, and we were like going up this moss, like proper hands, like proper like that, and because someone else in front of us was, and we were like, they were like, "Have you just come from down there?" I was like, isn't the pig trail hard enough? They're like, "No, we've had not having anything." And then on the way down, there's a fucking trail around the corner, and you're like, "What the fuck's going on?" Because you're like,
Yeah.
but mate, yeah, like I was on a pod the other day, and I think
No,
I've mentioned it.
100%. Like it's probably
Yeah,
one of the best experiences I've ever did. Um, like tomorrow morning, I'm going for a sunrise hike in the Surrey Hills with a fellow firefighter, and you just find new shit that you're interested in, right? So, like I say, like the gym has been a massive thing. Funnily enough, my friend, so I'm going to Manchester this weekend to support a couple of friends doing like the High Rocks Fitness Challenge.
love it. Yeah,
And my friend texts me, and there's there's four of us going. Me and my friend are going to support two of our other mates, and he was like, "Oh, they're going to go to bed early. So, what do people do that don't drink on a Saturday night?" And I was like, "Is that a fucking serious question?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And I was like, "The same shit that drunk people do, but they don't get pissed. Like it's as simple as that." But people don't. I've had it so many times where one of my closest mates that I grew up with, he openly admitted to me, he was like, "Mate, I don't really know what to suggest, like, for meeting up." And you could almost take it as a bit of an insult. Like, oh, what, so
yeah,
all I am is a fucking beer to you? Do you know, do you know
exactly.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
mate. That's how I took it. I,
And
I, I completely took it like that.
it's like
Like they wouldn't
food.
want to meet up in the pub, would they? Like they wouldn't want to meet up in a pub. Well, I think pubs are boring now anyway. Now I'm sober, but
Yeah.
because they didn't want to meet up in a pub, I don't see them anymore. Which is obviously for you, it's great because they're still talking to you. They're still like, oh, "Come on, let's do it." But yeah, you're right. It's yeah, fitness is a massive thing, isn't it? Like what you said. So,
Yeah.
what are your aspirations for the future, and how does living sober align with them goals?
So, like I said, like, I'm not going to say never because
Yeah,
I feel like I'm setting myself up to fail. And
yeah,
if truth be told, like when I first went sober, me and my partner at the time used to love a bottle of red, really appreciate that. And I always wanted to get to the point where I could sit across the table from her and have that nice glass of red and really appreciate each other's company and stuff like that. Like, so in terms of like aspirations and in drinking, I don't think I'm going to drink anytime soon, but I'm not going to put a fucking day on it. I'm not going to put a label on it. If it happens, it happens. If the right moment, whatever. It doesn't align with what I need to do right now. We speak about value and leverage and the cost of entry, as Paul Moore would say, right?
yeah,
And it's everything that I want to achieve. So, like, we've just recently set out our goals for this quarter in Alliance, and I want to get this coaching as high as I can get it. I want to learn like so much more. Everyone talks about that 1% better every day, right?
yeah,
1% is quite a lot over a lifetime, right?
yeah.
But we spoke about networks earlier, and I've lost people and I don't see people, but yourself included, I genuinely couldn't believe that I would have connected with so many amazing people in such a short amount of time. And it's like, who else am I going to fucking connect with tomorrow? Like, who's going to listen to this podcast and reach out to me and be like, "Mate, do you know what? Let's grab a coffee."
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? So
100%.
I think in terms of goals and aspirations, it's going to sound cliche, mate, but just keep progressing. Like, people have asked me on my Instagram, what's next? And it's like, obviously, I'm going to try and launch a program to help people in February, and it'll be great if I can help one person on that. But it's just learn, make myself better, meet new people, experiences, and look back when you like we talk about measuring backwards and keep quoting the greatest, but
Yeah,
it's true. Like, look back and go, do you know what? The last 3 months were fucking quality. What am I going to do now?
yeah. I think that's right, and it's all about progress, right, over perfection. Like M- Marcus 12 months ago would have dreamed or would aspire to be like Marcus today, and it's I know that's 1% and all and everything. I agree, the 1% club and trying to be better than yesterday, but that's why the journaling is so powerful. The focusing on what we want instead of what we don't want. And and my like one day at a time, sobriety, and booze to better, that aligns with who I want to become. I haven't, like you said, Paul does talk about this a lot as well, but I physically have not. I've got 3 podcasts this week. I've got coaching calls. I've got golf, running, all of this. When do I have time for a hangover? When do I have
Nah.
time to booze? When do I have time to feel groggy? And again, I think I'm so aligned with you, Sam, in terms of the only thing I really, really, really miss is red. And
Yeah.
that's and it's crazy now because at the start the red wines were shit. They taste like fucking grape juice, but Zeno, Oddbird, they all do. I know they're quite expensive, but the amount of money I've saved, I can spend 16 quid on a non-alcoholic bottle of wine because they're incredible. Not
Yeah.
sponsored, neither.
But if you want to send them a free bottle, you can.
But I'm open to, yeah. But do you know what I mean? The companies and the things are getting so much better now. So I'm cool with that, and I think it's we're creating a life that doesn't require booze to be in it because we ain't got time to feel like shit. So how do you think at the moment it's benefited you in your relationships and personally and professionally? I know since I've seen you're going for promotion as well. Do you think this is all the energy you've given out and the amazing stuff you give out? Do you reckon that's come back around?
Yeah, I think let's get like spiritual on this. You
Yeah,
get out what you put in any way, in anything, right? And you start making really good choices. You start making conscious decisions that benefit you. Like, it's inevitable that things happen. Like, whether it is a fucking greater power or not, it doesn't really matter. Like, the promotion thing was always going to be there. Like, I always wanted to do it, but yeah, 100%. Like, I'm so more like the focus that I've got since quitting booze in everything. Like, there's days where you don't quite progress might as well as you could have done. Fine, do you know what I mean? But yeah, the promotion thing. Like, I've got my interview next week, and hopefully I pass it, and then I'll get that, and it's like, right, what's next? And I don't think that I would have been able to focus on what I want. Like, I've achieved more in the last 6 months in terms of like personal goals and stuff like that than I have in 6 years. My relationships
incredible.
with people, okay, bar my ex that left me, has flourished because the people that actually knew you, like the best compliment I got was, "This is why I stayed friends with you, because I always knew this person was in there. You fucked up a lot. Do you know what I mean? You were a fucking
Yeah,
twat, mate. But I knew that person wasn't you, and that's why I've still got some of the friends that I have." So those relationships have flourished because they they see me now, and they're like, "Fucking finally, mate!" Like, do you know what I mean?
yeah,
And it's shit that it took me to lose a best mate and a girlfriend over it, or yeah, do you know what I mean?
yeah.
But
It's crazy, isn't it?
it's mad, like the focus, and like people talk about focus, and I think it can get misinterpreted as like, oh, focus on a goal, focus on a goal, but focus on building that relationship. Do you know what I mean? Like, and before you even realise, you've already done it. Like, just thinking, do you know what? I am going to go for that coffee. I am going to turn up today, or I am going to text that person. You could have made someone's day by doing that. I've had more fucking coffees with people in the last 6 months than I have in my whole entire lifetime, and I've had
Yeah,
better chats with them. I'm not sat in a kitchen putting the world to rights at 6 o'clock in the morning, starting a business with your best mate. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, it just doesn't happen anymore, and
yeah,
I'm so better for it.
yeah. Or making up fights that I never had. That was my one.
Yeah.
Like I knocked about 20 people out. I couldn't fucking knock my little nephew out. Do you know what I mean?
I hope you wouldn't try, mate, to be honest.
No, exactly. Yeah. No, I wouldn't. God, A, they beat me up, and B, I love them to bits. What advice would you give to Sam in his heyday and his height of his boozing? and why would you give them that advice?
I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing, right? But it would be start fucking learning from your mistakes. Like, realize what you are doing to other people, not yourself, because it's similar to the accountability thing. Like, I was taught, get somebody else to hold you a little bit accountable, because it's easy to hide from yourself. It's easy to let yourself down. But stop fucking letting people down, mate. Like, if you knock this drink on the head, and you will, I wouldn't have lost what I did if I'd stopped drinking sooner. And like I say, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I believe that everything happens for a reason. And I'm in this. If I hadn't done what I'd done, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be chatting to you now, right? I wouldn't
Exactly.
have
Yeah.
met some amazing people. And it's a lesson learned. But there was probably 20, 30, 40, 50 instances before that I could have learned from. I just turned a blind eye to it, and I thought it was normal. So it's probably just be more aware as to what you're doing, and fucking knock it on the head, because your life can be amazing without it. You don't need it. You don't need to be that person. But hindsight, lovely thing it is.
Yeah. So it would be more who it affects and what it's doing and who it affects. Really, is that the key message? Is like who?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like no, no one. It's only when you stop that you realise just how many people it affected. So like, I'm hungover on a Sunday morning, and like my missus and her little girl want to go out to the park, so they go on their own, and it's
Yeah.
like, you think, oh, no, it doesn't matter. Of course it matters. Do you know what I mean? They wanted to spend the day with you, like,
Yeah.
and then you're moody, you're hungover, like you're just aggy, you're volatile, and it's like, what the fuck, mate? You're affecting so many people in so many ways that you're not even aware of.
You never and this is a thing I talk to my clients. You never play it forward. You
No.
never do. You never because it's always at the time, and this is why the instant that dopamine hit you get at the time is fucking brilliant. That
Yeah.
first sip, that first pint, but then it's always like that 15 minutes later when you want another hit, another pint. Whatever it may be. But you never play it forward. So one of the things I encourage now, and this is probably fucking is getting a picture and a video. I mean, I've got a video of me, like I said, video like doing that in a kebab shop. It's always getting that, and even having it as a screensaver to know this isn't who I want to become, or this isn't who I
Yeah.
want to stay. And I think we've talked a lot about growth. I think growth happens when you're uncomfortable, and growth happens when you're not doing the fucking same shit over and over again. I think I can't remember. I think it's Einstein said the definition of a man is
Yeah.
doing the same shit over and over again and expecting something different. And that's what I was doing every weekend, Thursday to Sunday. Be better by like Wednesday, and then the same would happen again. And I
Yeah.
think you've hit the nail on the head there. So what if you were to give one tip to the audience, um, if there's so for anyone starting out on their journey, or for anyone um, that's thinking about going booze to better, what tip would you give them?
Go to Marcus Jones Coaching.
other than that, it's a
um,
great. I love that bit.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, just don't try and do it alone.
yeah.
That would be the biggest
Why?
thing. For one, first reason, because if you're the only person that knows you're doing it, you can hide, and when you fuck up and you like relapse, for want of a better phrase,
Yeah,
you got no one else holding you accountable. But get a friend, get a partner, get a parent, get anybody to support you or to hold you accountable, because I promise you, you won't realise the impact that it'll have on them by giving them a bit of responsibility, and then you won't realise how good it'll feel when that person's telling you, mate, congratulations. I didn't even know it was 4 months tomorrow since I'd last had my last drink, right? And my friend Emily, that I'm going on this hike with tomorrow morning, I didn't even realise it was the 4 month anniversary. And she was like, 4 months tomorrow. She has tracked my progress every step of the way, and I didn't even realise.
Amazing.
So don't try and do it alone. You don't have to. Do you
Love
know what I
that.
mean? There's loads of
And you
people
don't,
that'll be a supporter.
yeah, and you don't really know who you're impacting. You're obviously impacting. Well, you're impacting just not just with the giving up booze, with your other bits. But Sam, that's been amazing. Where can people find you, Sam?
So Instagram, I have got a TikTok, but it's not really going. So yeah, Instagram, move different with SB, and there's going to be Facebook platforms and stuff like that, but it's very very early days. I'm just about learning how to use Instagram, to be honest, mate. So yeah,
But
go find me
please
there.
do go give him a follow. He's inspirational. He's very, very energetic and amazing, amazing. Just by listening to him, you'll instantly feel better. Drop him a message if you're feeling low or if you're feeling like something needs to change. He'll be on that. Thanks so much, Sam, mate. You've been amazing. We'll catch up with you soon.
Unreal, mate. Thank you very much for having me.